Do you even know how strong you are? To get an overall idea of how strong someone is, you can take these 3 compound exercises, the bench, squat, and deadlift, and by adding them up, you get a general idea of how strong you are. Of course, it's not perfect. There's a lot of things that go into being strong: your height, genetics, gender, whether or not you're on roids. There's a lot of stuff, although it does give us a good idea. And there's even this thing called the 1,000-pound club, where you add up your squat, bench, and deadlift, and if you get 1,000, you're in the club. And it's just a little number thing, but I really want to be in the club. Like, really bad. I think it stems from my childhood when I was left at the Boys and Girls Club. It wasn't a traumatic experience. It was actually quite enjoyable. I had graham crackers and they gave us milk too. But it did happen. We're going to have to do some inner work on that. This got me thinking. I wonder if they hand out graham crackers once you get in. I'm determined to find out. And I've decided for the next 30 days, I'm going to train like a powerlifter. And then I'm going to max out at the end and increase my total power output and just become an absolute unit. Starting with measurements, I'm 6'3" and 188 pounds. From there, I went to go max out and see where I'm starting out at. Who knows, maybe we can be in the club on the first day. I began with the bench press. It's one of the main 3 movements, so we gotta do this one and I gotta nail it. Went in there and started pumping some iron, and my weighted calisthenics training has been paying off. I felt strong until things took a turn for the worst when I tried 275. That was my first time trying it, so I definitely should have had a spotter here. At that point, it was do or die, but I was able to push the bar up. To be on pace to get 1,000, I wanted to get 315, so I got a spotter and I just went for it. That was not the best idea though. Although, you gotta admit, I almost had that. Moving to the squat rack. This is not a good start because I know my squat is super weak, so we're already at a huge disadvantage. Squats are my enemy. It's not as strong as I want it to be. I mean, I was barely able to get 275 and my form was pretty shaky. That didn't stop me from trying 315 though, which again seems to be my kryptonite. I cannot get this thing up. Moving to the deadlift rack. I'm gonna have to get an insane deadlift if I wanna get to 1,000. I started pulling with the force of 1,000 suns. As you can see here, I got 405 kinda. I then moved to 450 and that was insanely heavy. I added it all up and I thought I was in the club, but it turns out I'm just really bad at math. It's not what you like to see, but this is good. We have room to improve. I just need to get stronger in every conceivable way and we'll be okay. So I went in the gym and just started maxing out again. Although I did feel like a baller just going in the gym, doing 1 rep and then walking out. It was not the optimal approach. That was more of a lower back workout than a leg workout. Hate to see it. On the bright side, I have a juicy lower back pump. The Christmas tree is gonna be looking real nice this year. As I went on, I got smarter with my approach, training these movements in a low rep range, like 3 to 5, and using a weight that I could actually move. Focusing a little bit more on form and listening to my body as I trained, I ended up squatting like 2 to 3 times a week and deadlifting once a week, as deadlifting takes a little bit more out of you. I realized quickly how difficult it is to squat. And I was trying my best, but this thing's just not working out for me. We need to get a better squat. It's the weak link. And at this point, I'm gonna overpress more than I squat. And that's just, well, that'd be pretty cool, but I found that my hip flexors are really weak and it stops me from getting it out of that lower position. To fix this, stretches are gonna have to be implemented. Stretching is the worst, but this needs to be solved. I don't wanna do this. And then I'm also gonna start learning the technique. There's so many little things that you can do to increase like how much weight you lift, and I'm just realizing it now. I've always been of the belief that all you need to do is go in there and just lift the weight, but there's a lot more to it. And if you tweak the technique and you start doing different things, you can really see some amazing results. This is where I saw instant progress. For the deadlift, I started using straps right away and instantly was able to move more. I also tried to fix up my form using a stance that was around hip width. I tried not squatting the weight, but instead doing a deadlift, which is more of a hinge movement, then locking it out with my chest up. For a bench, I made sure to use a leg drive. I also arched my back slightly. As I picked up the weight, I'd use a tight grip and move the bar down in a bit of a J pattern, going from my lower chest all the way up to my eyes. Using these tips, I could already feel it. I had to apply some of this stuff to my squat. So I found a solid shoulder width stance with my toes pointed out a little bit was perfect for me. In powerlifting, for it to be a legit squat, you have to get slightly below parallel. So with using little weight, I slowly built up and I was trying to get stronger at that depth. The thing is, this is trouble. My hips suck. The only thing I could do was mobility crap. I had to get more flexible. I did a bunch of that as I continued to learn these movements. In combination with my regular training, I also did some accessory movements, as well as training the handstand when I could, which does not help you much with these exercises, but it's important to me, so I kept training that along with some of my other calisthenics stuff. It was brutal work, but I tried my best. These leg days were seriously grueling as I incorporated other stuff like box squats and trying my absolute hardest to train to actual failure. The only thing getting me through this was the thought of eating graham crackers at the end of the rainbow. I'm almost positive that they give you graham crackers once you get in. I mean, look, they gave this guy a t-shirt and this guy. That's why I kept working hard, especially on my squat, but it wasn't easy. It might look like I froze the video here, but I'm actually just fighting the urge to re-rack the weight and walk out the gym. This is a real mental battle, guys. It's also a physical battle. Now that you got me talking, I guess it's just an all-out war. A war in which I've been losing for probably the past 2 years. I've been losing in the past, but turning things around. So I ended up squatting the weight here. I shall be the victor. Well, maybe not. As I went on, I decided to do a few key things. Changing up my shoes was huge. I switched to Vans, which was just a far more sturdier than the running shoes I was using. I also straight up just went to work on my hips. Before I knew it, things were looking up. Even my thighs were looking a little more girthy. It was pretty cool. And I was getting stronger. I started to feel these movements actually working for me. I feel so mobile and all my lifts feel so much more clean. This is huge for me, okay? 315, I might have gotten 315 if I would have tried it. I'm just getting stronger. I'm just getting stronger. It feels good. Most importantly, I finally felt like I was somewhat confident at squatting, which made me enjoy it a little bit more. In fact, I might have been getting a little bit too confident because I thought I could lift a bus. I want to bench more than Chris Hemsworth, so we're trying to go for 301 on the bench press. Deadlift, if I can get 500, that'd be a dream, but 450, I'd be complacent with. And then finally, the squat. If I can get 315 for that, then we'd be set and we'd be in the club. Those are the numbers I'm trying to hit, so let's go hit those numbers. I did not, in fact, hit those numbers. That said, I was improving. I mean, as I kept going on, everything was going great. Things were clicking, things were snapping, and I was starting to really feel the contraction in my muscle and my glutes, and I was just, if you know what I mean. It was going great. But I'm also training for a handstand mile, and I did a 600 meter on my hands, and that took a lot out of me to the point where it basically broke my body. That didn't stop me from trying 315 though. I knew I wasn't going to get that one. My body felt really weak. That didn't stop me from trying it again though. I've done the math. All I need to do is get a 315 squat and I'll be in the club. But it's not happening. My PRs have gotten better, more clean, but I have not upped the number at all. And we're only 1 week away. It just kind of sucked not seeing the results I wanted. But I still had some time left. Figured it's one of those things, your body's adaptable. So you got to hit that brick wall until you go through it. Only thing to do was pick up the weight and then contemplate whether or not I was going to lift it. I have this battle every time. So I picked up that weight and then I went for it anyways. I didn't make it back up. And right when I thought like all I had to do was max to get this thing, it's gone away. And only a week out, the only thing I could really do was rest up and start eating more food. I started eating, resting, and doing that on repeat. And I just waited my time until day 30 came around and I was ready to finally test my max and see what I was capable of and see how far I've came in these 30 days. Okay, let's do this thing. Bench, squat, and deadlift. Let's see where we're at. So I smacked some weight on that bad boy, going up to my current max of 275. And got it done. I felt good. It was time to add more weight. At this point, I couldn't just go for 295. I had to defeat Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth's bench press is 300. I had to dethrone him.
Close. Yeah, close. You were right there, man.
I got up to 305. I didn't think I was going to get it, but the spotter said that he barely touched it at all, so I'm going to count it. Now to get on pace, we have to squat 315, and we'll be looking good. Final day, we're making great progress. I mean, I can't believe I just got 305. That's insane. But this is the one I've been training for. I have to get 315. It was time to squat the real thing. I still don't know if I'm going to be able to squat this. It was really heavy, but I wasn't done. It was still really heavy. I gave it one final try. Just did that. All I need is a little bit more than 400-pound deadlift, and I got this. I think I can do it today. At this point, I was fatigued, but I was so close, I had to go for it. I kept deadlifting, getting up to 405. At this point, I think I'm over 1,000 pounds, but I'm unsure because I'm still pretty bad at math. That said, I'm not satisfied. I went for 450. I've come to the conclusion that 450 isn't humanly possible. I'm pretty sure it was glued to the floor. So I dropped it to something that I think I could pick up, but I was toast by this point, so my body was not moving that thing. I had to add up my score and call it a day. Got it done. Where did they hand out the graham crackers?